Okay, I want you to do something for me. Close your eyes. I want you to picture Gotham City. It's night, obviously. It's raining because, let's be honest, has the sun ever actually shone in Gotham? And you zoom in on a gargoyle high above the streets. And there he is, the Batman. The cape is heavy with water. The cowl is furrowed. He is the ultimate solitary figure, right? The lone wolf. He has enemies, psychopaths, mobsters, monsters. And his job, his absolute obsession, is to stop them. That is the story we have been told for 80 years. But what if that is completely wrong?
That is a compelling image, the solitary knight. But today, we're going to take a sledgehammer to it.
We really are, because we're looking at a series of articles by Ryan Collison from Money Sex Nerd that has a premise so provocative, I actually laughed out loud when I first saw the headline.
Didn't imagine.
But the more I read, I stopped laughing and just started thinking, oh my God, this explains everything. The article is titled, Batman's Rogues Gallery is Just His Dysfunctional Polycule.
It's quite the title. It grabs you by the throat immediately.
Right. The core argument here is that Batman doesn't actually have enemies. Not in the traditional sense. Instead, Collison suggests that what he has is a rotating cast of intimate partners. That the Joker, Catwoman, Bane, they aren't just obstacles. They are fulfilling specific emotional needs for Batman that he is incapable of getting from just one person.
Exactly. And before you roll your eyes at the internet slang or think we're about to dive into some weird fan fiction thing, we need to be clear about the mission of this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're doing a serious application of attachment theory. We're using a psychological lens to view Gotham not as a battlefield, but as a giant dysfunctional relationship dynamic.
So we're basically putting Bruce Wayne on the therapy couch today.
In a way, yes. But we're also putting the entire concept of the superhero on the couch. Because if this theory holds water, it means Batman isn't fighting crime so much as he is acting out a massive citywide codependency issue.
I love this. It's such a hot take, but let's unpack it properly. Where do we even start with the idea of a polycule in a comic book? I mean, usually that term describes something else.
It does. And Batman seems like the least relationship-y guy on Earth.
Yeah, it really does.
That's the irony, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
But we have to start with the definition from the source material. Collison argues this isn't a metaphor. He says it is a literal mapping of relational patterns.
Okay.
So a polycule, in this context, is a complex web of interdependent attachments that sustain the central person's psyche. In a healthy polyamorous dynamic, you might have one partner who shares your love of hiking, another who you connect with intellectually,
Right, so you're outsourcing your needs because one person can't meet them all.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Collison's argument is that Batman has this exact dynamic. He has a web of attachments that sustain his psyche. He needs these villains. He literally requires them to function.
Sustain his psyche, that's the key phrase for me. Because usually we think of the villains as the things trying to destroy his psyche.
No.
But this theory says no, without them, he falls apart.
Precisely. And to understand why he needs them, you have to look at the man himself, or rather the split between the man and the mask. The source material brings up this concept of dissociation as strategy.
When the mask is the real face. Yeah, that's the line that gave me chills.
It's a crucial distinction. There's this long-standing debate in fandom. Is he Bruce Wayne pretending to be Batman or Batman pretending to be Bruce Wayne?
Right.
Collison takes a hard stance here. For this character, the dissociation is complete. The cowl, the mission, the bat, that is the authentic self. Bruce Wayne, the billionaire playboy, that's the performance art.
Which makes total sense when you think about it. If I'm Bruce Wayne and I'm dating a supermodel or whatever, I'm lying to them the whole time. I'm pretending to be this vapid rich guy. But when I'm Batman, I'm 100% me.
And that creates a massive problem for intimacy. If the real you is a nocturnal vigilante obsessed with trauma, you can't form a connection with a civilian. A civilian wants you to, come home for dinner.
Yeah, a civilian wants you to go to bed at a reasonable hour.
They want you to not have broken ribs. You can only relate to others through the cowl. You need people who meet you on that level of intensity of absurdity.
So regular dating is out. You can't be vulnerable with someone if you're hiding your entire personality.
So enter the rogues gallery.
Enter the polycule, the only people who see the real him.
Exactly.
Okay, let's break down the major players then, because the source maps them out to very specific psychological terms. And we have to start with the big one. You can't talk about Batman without the Joker.
The clown prince of crime.
The source labels this dynamic the trauma bond. Now, I hear that term thrown around a lot, on social media, but what does it actually mean here?
It fits perfectly. Think about the age-old question, the one that comes up in every single comic book forum.
Hmm.
Why does Batman never actually kill the Joker?
Because he has a code.
Right.
Because if he kills him, he becomes him. That's the standard answer.
That's the moral answer. That's the text. But the subtext, the psychological answer, according to Collison, is much darker. It's a trauma bond. It is a cyclical, addictive loop.
An addictive loop.
The Joker represents the chaos that created Batman, the random violence of that alleyway. By fighting him, catching him, and then crucially letting him escape to do it all again, Batman is reenacting his trauma in a controlled environment.
It's like he's addicted to the struggle itself.
Freud called it repetition compulsion.
Mm-hmm.
You repeat the trauma hoping for a different outcome or just to master the feelings. If he kills the Joker, the game ends. The cycle breaks. And if the cycle breaks...
Then Batman has to sit with his grief. He has to actually process the death of his parents in a silent room.
And he will do anything to avoid that silence. So the Joker keeps him busy. The Joker gives him purpose.
It totally shifts the dynamic from hero versus villain to two people who are just completely obsessed with each other.
And the Joker knows it. That's the scary part. In almost every interpretation, the Joker's the one screaming, "You complete me." He understands the relationship better than Batman does.
He knows they're locked in this dance. Wow. Okay, so Joker's the toxic dynamic you can't quit, but what about the one person he actually gets romantic with? Or what? Semi-romantic. Catwoman.
Ah, yes. The source calls this pairing the avoidant mirror.
Two avoidants trying to connect. That sounds like the tagline for a very depressing indie movie. Walk us through the attachment style here.
Well, if we look at attachment theory, an avoidant style is characterized by a fear of intimacy. You want closeness, maybe, but when you actually get it, your alarm bells go off. You feel suffocated.
Which is Batman to a T. I work alone. Don't get close to me.
Exactly. And Catwoman is the same. She's a thief, a loner. She plays by her own rules. She isn't sitting at home waiting for him to call.
So why does the article call them a mirror? Why do they even work? Sort of.
Because they provide each other with the perfect amount of safe intimacy. They meet on the rooftops, literally above the rest of society, and they have this intense chemistry because they are both, well, safe.
Safe. She's a master criminal.
She's emotionally safe. Batman knows she will never ask him to settle down. She'll never ask him to give up the cowl and move to the suburbs. She's going to run away eventually.
Right. She's going to steal the diamond and bail.
And he knows that. So he can be vulnerable with her, but only because he knows it has an expiration date.
So the tragedy is that they are two people who are just engaged in a chase. If one of them actually stopped running, the whole thing would fall apart.
Precisely. The chase is the relationship. If they actually got married and settled down, they wouldn't know what to do with each other.
Okay, moving on to another very complicated romance. Talia al Ghul.
The daughter of the demon. The source labels this one the enmeshment wound.
Enmeshment. What does that mean here?
In psychology, it usually refers to boundaries that are too permeable. You don't know where you end and the other person begins. It's often tied to controlling family dynamics.
And with Talia, it's literal. Collison points out the big complication. When the enemy is also the mother of your child.
That changes everything. With Joker, it's chaos. With Catwoman, it's a game. But Talia, she represents family obligation. She's part of this ancient order that wants to rule the world, often through Batman. But she also loves him, and she gave him a son, Damian.
It's the I can fix him trope, but on a global scale. She wants him to lead the League of Assassins. She wants him to be her version of his best self.
And for Batman, this hits the enmeshment wound because it forces him to confront his desire for family, but it's all wrapped up in something toxic. He has to constantly fight against being absorbed by it.
It's a struggle for identity. Am I Batman or am I the heir to the demon? So we've got the trauma bond, the avoidant mirror, and the enmeshment wound. That covers the romantic angles. But a polycule isn't just about romance. It's about a support system. And this is where the source material gets dread.
Well, I was genuinely surprised. Let's talk about Alfred.
Ah, yes. Alfred Pennyworth, the loyal butler.
I think most people, myself included, see Alfred as the moral compass, the good father figure. But Collison, he just throws that out the window. He labels Alfred the enabler.
It's a harsh label, isn't it? It feels wrong. But if you look at the evidence provided, it's hard to argue against.
The evidence being the butler who built the Batcave.
Think about that. We see Alfred stitching up wounds, bringing tea, offering dry wit. It feels supportive. But what is he actually supporting? He is facilitating a billionaire's severe psychological breakdown. He isn't booking therapy appointments. He's ordering Kevlar and high-grade explosives.
Oh, wow. When you put it like that, if my best friend decided to dress up as a giant bat and fight muggers and said, sure, let me gas up the car for you, I wouldn't be a good friend. You'd be an accomplice. Alfred facilitates the dysfunction. He makes it possible for Bruce to maintain this dissociated state. Without Alfred, Batman collapses. Not because he gets shot, but because he forgets to eat.
So Alfred isn't the cure. He's part of the disease. That's going to change how I watch the movies. He's the parent buying booze for the alcoholic son because he's afraid the son will leave if he doesn't.
It reframes his loyalty as a tragic flaw. He loves Bruce so much he's willing to help him destroy himself slowly.
Okay, let's pivot to someone who provides a different kind of support. The Riddler. The source calls him, I can't believe I'm saying this, the cuck intellectual.
Yes, it is a very specific, very provocative term. But let's look past the internet slang to the psychological need being described here.
The article defines it as needing to be seen as smart.
Batman is the world's greatest detective. That's a core part of his identity. But how do you prove you're the greatest detective if you're just punching guys who rob banks? You need a challenge.
So the Riddler provides the friction.
He provides the intellectual validation. The Riddler constructs these elaborate, complex puzzles specifically for Batman to solve. It's a game of, look how smart I am, followed by Batman saying, I'm smarter.
And the cuck part of the label implies, what? That he likes watching Batman win.
In this context, the source seems to be implying a dynamic where Riddler is desperate for Batman's attention, but constantly gets dominated intellectually. But the crucial part is that Batman needs him to set up the board. Without Riddler, Batman is just a thug in a suit. With Riddler, he's a genius.
So Riddler makes him feel smart, who makes him feel tough. Or maybe who helps him deal with his physical pain. The source points to Bane.
Bane, the man who broke the bat. The theme here is simple: masochism.
Masochism. We usually think of Batman as the one dishing out the pain.
He does. But consider what Batman endures. The training, the scars, the exhaustion. There's a deep-seated drive in Bruce Wayne to suffer. He believes that pain is penance for surviving when his parents didn't.
Just river's guilt, yeah. He treats his body like a tool to be used up.
And Bane is the ultimate delivery system for that pain. He is the only one who can truly hurt Batman physically, who can dominate him. And strangely, that validates Batman's mission. If he can survive Bane, he can survive anything. It's a test of worthiness through suffering.
It's like he goes to Bane to be broken so he can prove he can put himself back together again.
Precisely. It's his cycle of destruction and rebirth.
We have one more major player in this dysfunctional web. Poison Ivy.
Pamela Isley.
The source lists a triad of themes for her: seduction, control, and ecological rage.
Ivy is interesting because she represents a force that Batman can't punch, nature. But interpersonally, she represents control. Ivy uses pheromones. She literally hijacks your agency. She makes you fall in love with her against your will.
Which is Batman's worst nightmare, right? He's a total control freak.
It is his nightmare, but it's also a temptation. The temptation to lose control, to be seduced. And unlike the others, her motivation, saving the planet, is actually kind of noble, even if her methods are extreme. She forces him to engage with something bigger than just crime.
So we have this web: Joker for trauma, Catwoman for the chase, Talia for family, Alfred for enabling, Riddler for intellect, Bane for pain, Ivy for control. It's a full ecosystem.
He doesn't need a wife or a best friend because he has this.
Yeah.
He has a polycule, a system of relationships that keeps him balanced in a very twisted way.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. The source material cites one movie, one single piece of media that got it right. And it's not the Nolan trilogy. It's not the new grimdark version.
It is the Lego Batman movie.
I love this so much. Please explain why a movie made for children is the most psychologically accurate depiction of this entire thing.
It's because Lego Batman strips away the pretension. It doesn't try to be cool. It looks directly at the absurdity of the dynamic and just embraces it. The entire plot of that movie hinges on the Joker's feelings being hurt because Batman won't admit they're in a relationship.
I don't do ships. That's the line, right? Joker asks, who is your number one bad guy? And Batman says, I don't have a number one. I like to fight around.
Exactly. It is explicitly coded as a breakup conversation. The Joker wants to be Batman's number one, and Batman is playing the avoidant boyfriend. It openly acknowledges that I hate you is code for I need you.
It's actually kind of profound. In the live action movies, they have to frame it as this epic war for the soul of the city to make it serious.
Right.
But Lego Batman just says, hey, these two guys are obsessed with each other and it's hurting everyone around them.
It acknowledges the codependency. And by the end of the movie, Batman has to actually learn to accept help, to work with others, to acknowledge his feelings. It solves the attachment issue that the other movies just wallow in.
So if you want a masterclass in superhero psychology, skip the R-rated cut and watch the Legos.
According to this source, absolutely. It's the only one that breaks the cycle.
So what does this all mean for us? For you, listening? We just spent 15 minutes diagnosing a comic book character.
I think the takeaway is about how we view narratives and ourselves. We like to think of heroes as independent agents, but nobody is an island, not even Batman. This polycule theory shows us that we are defined by our relationships, even the antagonistic ones.
So Batman isn't a story about a man cleaning up a city. It's a story about a man whose psychological needs are so vast, so fractured, that he requires an entire city of dysfunctional partners to meet them.
And he creates that city. He invites that dysfunction because without it, he's just a sad man in an empty mansion.
It makes you look at other pop culture icons differently. Are they fighting battles, or are they just acting out relationship patterns? Is James Bond saving the world, or is he just looking for the next betrayal?
It's a lens you can apply to almost any long-running nemesis dynamic. The conflict is the relationship.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought, something that really stuck with me from that dissociation as strategy concept. We talked about how the mask is the real face, if that's true, and if the villains are his true intimate partners.
Then Bruce Wayne is the least authentic thing about him.
Yeah. Exactly. When he takes off the cowl, that's when he's putting on the costume. That's when he's lying. The only time he's telling the truth is when he's staring down a clown in a purple suit. And that is a terrifying thought to sleep on.
It certainly is.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Check your attachment styles, people. We'll see you next time.